Welcome to CUNTY Life and Biz Realness, the uncensored show that explores how to live your truest life, what tries to get in the way, and how to grow your business as a result. I know you want to be more courageous, unapologetic, notable, transcendent, and authentically you, and you're in the right place, babe. I'm your host who's the most, Naomi, CEO and head life and biz authenticity coach at CUNTY Coaching. Let's dive in. Hello. So today I am inspired by my new office. I exchanged office with my spouse. So he now has the upstairs office, which is its own room. And I am going to try an office in my more open living room because during the day it's not in use. So he used to be here, but now I'm here and he's upstairs. And, to anyone else, it would seem like, why would you do that? You had your own office. Why on earth would you change it and move it down here into the living room area? And it starts with an awareness. It starts with allowing yourself to be open to signs, right? I was finding that I never wanted to be in my office. I was starting to just prefer working down here on the couch. My office in the wintertime was feeling really cold, even with a heater on. And I think it was just like isolated up there. I felt isolated. It's upstairs. It's like, maybe it felt like I was in some kind of like ivory tower. And someone even said to me, it's like, you might be feeling right now like you're kind of Rapunzel up in a tower, like locked away. And I think that's so true. So for me, it wasn't working, right? And so I had to have the willingness to get curious and get playful about like, why might it not be working? And is there anything I can do to change it? And is there something I can do to shake it up? And it also reminds me that I've been like this my whole life. My whole life, I've loved change and this idea of switching things up or just seeing, right? Just going with something, changing something, experiencing it, and then seeing how it goes, right? And how it feels through actually doing it. So that is what we're doing. Today is day one of Changed Office, but I've sought change in so many different ways in my life. One way, like a huge way right off the bat, is we decided to change where we lived. Like we moved quite a bit within Ontario, Canada, like growing up and even in my early adulthood. But I decided that me and my family would move over to Portugal. And of course, my partner came on board with that decision, but at first it was my idea. And it just goes to show like changing and being open to change. And again, like getting curious about what you love about life, what you don't love about life. And are they changeable factors? Are they within your control or are they not? And in this case, it can feel so good when you take control of something that you can, is within your control, and seek to change it to improve your life and your circumstances. And sure, sometimes it won't work out, right? It won't work out or something will be not what you thought or whatever. But for the most part, change is so good for us. Humans used to be nomads. Like we would literally move and change and eat different foods that like grew off the land. And we were literally in a state of change all the time. And then humans discovered wheat. And then we started to like stay in place more and, cultivate wheat and grow it and harvest it. And then we like stayed in the same place more. And then, of course, like that was a really long time ago in history, but that changed the course of humanity. And all this is to say, like, it's still in there. It's still in our DNA. It's still in our wild roots to want to change things and move around and change the input and stimulus and scenery that we surround ourselves with. And I think that that's really important to remember as we are entrepreneurs, because we often feel really resistant to change. It's like, well, this thing has been working, so why change it, right? And what I really want to encourage you today is, what does that mean? What does that look like that it's been working? Like, can you actually quantify and qualify and tell me, like, how has it been working? Has it been just kind of getting by? Have you been enjoying it? Has it been, in your zone of genius? Has it felt like an absolute pleasure to get out of bed every single day? You feel like you're lit up and you're just feeling super aligned and super well? Or does it feel like you're bored, or you're just not connected to it anymore, or you feel like, it's not even really your thing, or any of these things, right? There's so many ways that we keep ourselves in our own traps, right? So for another example for me is this notion of like the workday, right? My kiddo comes home about 5:30ish, about this time actually, every day. And I would kind of just try to work from the morning till this time. So, like your typical 9 to 5, right? And that wasn't necessarily working. Like, I would get restless, I would get burnt out, I would not move my body enough. There were so many ways that I didn't feel, once I think about it, right? Like, once we actually stop, this is the key, right? Because we are humans, we are adaptable by nature. So if we're going to just keep doing something, we're going to kind of tune out a lot of the things that we're not really sure about, and we're just kind of going to keep going because we're used to it. It's what we know. We're kind of just going to keep going with it, right? Humans kind of go with that now. That's what we do. We don't like to put ourselves out of our comfort zone very much. We really just tend to, okay, it's working well enough. We're just going to focus in and keep doing it, which is good in some applications, but it really makes it hard to become aware of what's not working, right? So we have to insert enough spaces and times and breaks and changes of scenery in our lives, pattern interrupts that give us perspective and give us that opportunity to zoom out for a minute and be like, I didn't even realize that I was doing that. Or like, I didn't even, there's magic that can happen when we do that for ourselves, when we give us ourselves that space, when we get curious, when we ask ourselves questions, when we ask ourselves, like, what would I love? Right? That's such a good question to ask. Is like, what would I love today? Or if I could do anything differently, what would it be? If I could live any version of this life, what would it be? And I'm not saying like drop your entire life and change it overnight, but you'll be surprised what little clues, and maybe they are big honking clues, right? But you'll be amazed at what little clues can come in that you can be like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I can do something about that. I can try something different, right? So I really want to encourage you, give yourself that time and space to just ask yourself what you would love, what would light you up, what you would do differently if you could do anything, and just see what comes through, and then see little ways that you can actually make a change in that direction. And a really good opportunity for this is the CUNTY retreat that I have going on in June. So by nature, the retreat, it's 6 nights. It's like pretty much a week, right? In South Portugal. And it's an amazing opportunity to do this exact thing. You remove yourself from your day to day, from your literal, like regular environment, and you are in a new environment where there's nothing that you have to do. It's all leaning into what you want to do, what inspires you, what excites you. It's about indulging all of the senses. It's such a beautiful opportunity to have one of those resets, right? And to allow for divine inspiration to come in, for, that magic to come in and give you some insights about your life. It's not a coincidence that I decided I needed to move to Portugal when I was on vacation in Portugal, right? It's not a coincidence. It's not just because I was like, oh, grass is greener and this is like a wishy washy thing. No, it was a huge whole body download, I describe it as like a gut punch, like intuitive gut punch. And it wasn't wrong, right? I know, and I am living, breathing proof that this is exactly what needed to happen in my life, in my family's life, in my business, for me to move forward more healthily, more joyfully, and more in more alignment. Like this was the next step, really. So I would love to invite you in to the CUNTY Retreat. I have 5 private rooms left, 1 shared room spot. It's happening from June 15th to 21st. And the main goal of this retreat, because it's a CUNTY retreat, it's restorative, it's restful, it's inspiring, but it's also fun and fiery and sexy and enjoying. And we're going to move and indulge all of our senses and just get you totally, totally up here, like elevated mind, body, and soul, and not just all in your head and in the day to day and in the grind and all these things that kind of get really heavy. We're going to like really release so much. And we're going to do that in community. And we are going to tap into the best and highest and most delicious, luxuriated version of ourselves. We get to call the shots, right? We get to decide what we want to do, where we want to go. You literally decide your every move. No one else is deciding it for you. I'm not going to have like a really packed, restrictive agenda, right? I have some ideas for activities, of course. It's not just a vacation where you're on your own. I'm going to have some ideas of activities. I'm going to have some pre-planned things that you can choose to join if it pleases you. But really, it's an incredible opportunity to tap into who you truly are, to tune out all of the outside noise, because it gets so noisy up in here. As entrepreneurs, it is so overstimulating. It's crazy out here. The world is on fire. We are constantly taking in information and seeing how we can do things better, differently, faster, more efficiently, more, using AI, doing this tool, using that tool. It's craziness. It's madness. It can be. And I'm on a mission to help us see, especially us feminist entrepreneurs who want to believe that there's better ways to do this. We don't have to keep going on this burnout cycle. We don't have to just keep doing things the way the hustle culture teaches us we have to do it. And this is the mission, right? And it starts on retreat, where we're in community together, literally redefining business, entrepreneurship, what it can look like from a place of highest integrity and inspiration and intuition and joy and fulfillment, right? Not just always like what someone's telling you to do, but what really truly comes from you and feels good to you. And we get to tune into creativity. It's going to be incredible. So you are invited. If you are interested in learning more about it, contact me. You can also go to cuntycoaching.com/retreat. Information is there. The application form is there, or contact me on whatever platform you're seeing this on. And it's such an honor for me to pursue this mission, right? I am my own very first client. I'm my own guinea pig all the time. All the time as a coach, I am constantly learning from my own experiences and alchemizing them and taking all of my other prior experiences and learnings and certifications and like all of these things, alchemizing them so that I can lead and I can provide spaces and opportunities for folks to learn it as well and just experience it for yourself and find out what it is for you, what this really means for you, what this looks like for you. It's not just about me teaching you or just another person telling you how to do something. I'm sick and tired of all of that. Okay. We need more just guidance and spaces that are in alignment with our own really internal desires and goals and dreams and visions, and not just the ones that, again, people are telling us to have, but what's truly coming from within, what's really calling on us and begging us to listen inside. Retreats are the perfect place to really tune in and really listen. I've already heard this from many other people as well. I've experienced it myself on the airplane home from another retreat. I had divine downloads come in. I wrote them down. It was incredible. So if you want to experience that for yourself, if you know that like the way you've been doing something isn't necessarily feeling very great, it's not necessarily in alignment with your highest self, you know that there's something you could be doing differently, there's something not quite the way you'd like it, you know that there's desires on your heart that you're not fully connecting with or living out, let's talk. Let's talk about it. I just want to have the conversation. I want to meet you. I want to chat. I'm constantly looking to create community around this exact thing. I am rebellious by nature, and I want to work with other rebellious feminist entrepreneurs who want to do things differently and experience life more joyfully, more in alignment. So I am Naomi, your CUNTY Life and Biz Alignment Coach, and it is my pleasure to be your guide. I'll talk to you next week. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to CUNTY Life and Biz Realness today. Someone in your circle needs to hear this. Can you share it and leave a review on Apple Podcast so this CUNTY movement can grow? And don't forget to tag me on Instagram at Naomi_authentically. I appreciate you so much and cannot wait to connect with you. You can always head over to cuntycoaching.com to work with me, join my events, my CUNTY email chronicles, and more. I hope you have a fulfilling week, and I can't wait to talk to you next week. This is your CUNTY coach, Naomi, signing off.